All right, we are live. What's up, guys? Welcome to FNGO's The Lunch Break. I see a couple of you guys, Houston Binkley, Doc Holliday, already in the comments section. Glad you guys could join me today. And for those that will be coming on or listening to this later, hey, we appreciate you guys. Make sure if you're watching on YouTube, hey, if you're not subscribed, subscribe. Make sure you give us a thumbs up, all that stuff that helps us grow our channel. And that's what we're about, growing our community, growing our channel. What's up, Tony? And then Big Shanty. What's up, buddy? Mike Geiger, what's going on, you guys? And listen, you guys ever have one of those nights where you just can't sleep? That's what I had last night. I don't know how many of you older guys are out there, but over the last year and a half, boy, I've started getting leg cramps at night. Last night, I don't know if it was the weather or what, but I had some of the worst leg cramps of my life last night. Couldn't get rid of them. What's up for lunch? Hey, 5-hour energy and a Diet Dr. Pepper today. Absolutely. So I don't know what you guys are eating, but I hope it's better than what I got going on. What's up, Cam? Hey, and Coleman, you guys. Hey, listen, seriously, though, if you guys missed the live well last night, you need to go back and watch it, especially the beginning of it. Once we got through our sponsors. Yeah, Tony, don't sleep well. Mike averages 4 to 5 hours a night. Listen, I got into bed when I got home, laid there for 2 hours, keeping my wife awake, got up, went on the couch, laid for a couple hours, couldn't get comfortable there, got back in the bed, and then turned around and ended up back on the couch. I don't know what it is, but I think it's an age thing. Now, Doc Holliday out there, now you are you're one of our senior viewers like that. Did that happen to you? And if anybody has any ideas on how to get rid of nighttime leg cramps, throw it in the comment section, because I couldn't do it last night. I don't know. But anyway, if you were watching the live well last night, one of the strangest, craziest things that has ever crossed any of our shows, and we've gone down some rabbit holes, but if you guys were listening last night, Doctors Daniels and Beam help. Yeah, they do. That's probably what I should have done. What's up, John? You did a great job last night. So we had a guy behind us. His last name is Pruitt. We're not related. I don't think so. We might be down the line, but this fella, we talked about a little bit. Chris Crosby, spoonful of mustard or pill juice? I'll try it. Should I eat that before I go to bed? Would that help if I did that before I go to bed? Nighttime leg cramps are legit, dude. Mike Geiger, I'm going to be 65 to 26 of this month. Well, hey, congratulations. Aaron Parker, finally lunchtime. Let me bill this customer out real quick and sit in the AC. You do it, dog. You do it. Man, we're just here for you. But I'm telling you, as I get older, things start hurting. And I feel like I'm in decent shape. I'm a little overweight. But the aches and pains come out of nowhere, and they're just weird. But anyway, let's get back on what we're talking about. So I had a fellow back here behind us. He's an amputee. Okay, and we talked about a little bit about fishing with his toe. If you guys didn't see it, you need to go back and watch it. It's the damnedest thing I've ever seen. But we got a little more information after the show. So this fella he had the Widowmaker, open heart surgery, diabetes, all kinds of stuff. And it gets stranger when we talk to him about it. So at one point before his foot was amputated, they had to amputate his big toe. And he asked him, and I wish that guy was here to tell the story. He asked him if he could keep his big toe. And they were like, "Are you crazy?" Now, he said it in a little more colorful language than that, but "Are you crazy?" He goes, "Yeah, I want my big toe." And they couldn't let him keep it because they had to send it off for test. Whatever was wrong with him, they had to send it off for test. So going down the line, he has lost, I guess because of his diabetes, he had lost all feeling in his it's his right leg, in his leg. So he couldn't feel anything. So they were going to have to amputate another one of his toes. And I think he said his pointer toe. I don't know which one that is, but a toe's a toe. Guys, listen, he went to another doctor because he wanted to keep it. He actually, because he had no feeling in it, he watched, and not only watched, he videotaped them cutting off his toe. All right. Take it or give it to athletes when cramps start. Okay, that's back on the mustard thing. Absolutely. he videotaped his toe being cut off. Then they gave it to him. He put it in a bottle or formaldehyde or whatever that stuff is. What's up, Alex? Put it in a bottle of that and took it home and kept it. And his goal was, he's a cat fisherman. His goal was to catch a fish on his toe. And it was the craziest thing I've ever heard anybody talk about on the show. But the fact that this fella videotaped, I guess with his phone, somebody, and to be awake, no less, somebody videotaping getting their toe or any digit cut off is insane. Captain Jay Morgan, Greenville, South Carolina in the house, digging the new lunchtime shenanigans. Hey, man, I appreciate it. It's just another way for us to have fun. Yeah, it is crazy, Coleman. And I throw it off first cast, I always bring two. And so that's another thing, too. I've been telling people about it. And the question everybody asked is, because here's what he's going to do. Now, first of all, yeah, Big Shanny, oh, hell no. So first off, he took it home, and his wife saw it or something. And she's like, what the hell is that? And he was like, that's my toe. And she took that bottle and just threw it. She didn't want to see it. So, I mean, imagine going home and putting that on your mantle. One of your digits is sitting there just soaking in some juice. So she threw it. So now he's got it hid. But his goal is to go down to the Gulf, I think Panama City or something like that, and fish with it. And we had a great conversation like, all right, do you dip it in chartreuse? Do you paint the toenail? What do you do? How do you rig it? It was the funniest thing. And this guy's just sitting back. He's like, oh, yeah, I'm going to do it. So, but is it even legal? Can you fish with part of your body? And so here's my question to you guys. And this could go down a rabbit hole. But in the comment section, if you could pick one part of your body to fish with, what would it be? And what would you be targeting? What part of your body would you fish with if you could cut it off? And that, let's just say you have to cut it off. And what would you fish with? Now, I can make a lot of jokes and say, hey, give me a pencil float and a zip code 33, and you know what I'd fish with. I'm going for brim. So, Alex is like, oh, what would you do? What would you do? It's kind of like that question we had about the pythons. I don't know if I asked it on this, but when when I was telling everybody about python hunting in Puerto Rico, if you were paralyzed, and laying there and you were alive and you couldn't move, you had all your senses like pain and everything like that, but you just couldn't move, and a python was going to eat you, would you rather him start at your feet or start at your head? And I hear people's answers are hilarious, how they try to figure that out. But I noticed in the comment section, ain't none of you guys putting out what part of your body. How about this? What part of your body would be more apt to catch a fish? All right. I probably could, I guess, would you cut open and cut your liver up and throw for catfish? Would that be a good one? Seems like that would be the obvious question. But this guy, screw my finger on a shaky head and call it a day. Messick Outdoors. Which finger? Atlanta Outdoors. Probably my liver. See, that's what I'm saying. Probably if you had to do that. Now, holding up my hands, I ain't going to be doing nothing but Ned rigging. That's the only option I got. It'd be a big fat Ned rig. Now, Aaron Parker, that's an interesting one. Your eyeball. Ooh, dude. I used to have a friend that had a fake eye, and he popped that son of a gun out. My Lord. Now, John Aldridge said my right eye. It doesn't work anyway. Targeting another big flat head. Coleman Jones, a hair jig. Hair don't count, Coleman. Hair don't count. But like, hey, you know what I did this morning? Now, guys, look right here. Now, I'm going bald. Okay? No doubt about it. But as I was shaving this morning, I looked down and there was a comb. And I took that comb and I tried to slide it through my hair. My hair is so thin now that I don't think that the comb even touched anything. It was awful. Interesting on the eyeball, but my buddy would pop his eyeball out and sit it on the table. Most disgusting thing I've ever seen. It was just like, dude, put that son of a gun up. John said I'd be out of luck trying to make a hair jig. For sure. But it's an interesting question. What part of your body would you most apt, be able to catch a fish with, most likely catch a fish with? But I think the liver, Atlanta Outdoors, that's what I would think. The liver would be a good one. Your eyeball, maybe if you took took a needle and he threw some of that jig material in there. It might as well be just like one of them Japanese dice baits. Probably can make dip pack bait using blood. Yeah, you probably could do that. It kind of goes right in line with the composting that we talked about yesterday and all that. But this guy was just as happy as he could be talking about, I'm going down to the Gulf and Doc Holliday, I can do the eye pop out. That's right, Doc. That's right. I remember you telling me that. Latrell Sanders, Ned rigged big toe. Hey, you know what? If you got a big enough big toe, you could use it as a punch bait. Probably go out to Gunner's going to punch that through some grass and everything right there. But I forgot about that, Doc, all day. You can pop your eye out. And I know you guys say it don't hurt, but still. Oh, my Lord. He used to do that. Now, my dad, back in the day, let's see. Cam, let me read Cam's. I had a friend in school that would spit his dentures out on the test every time we had a substitute teacher. And Latrell said, you might be onto something right there. Could probably use a bone as a topwater. See, you guys are thinking now. That's what I like about this. Now, my dad had he had what do you call them? One of them plates. And so his forefront teeth were fake. And so he would pop them things out every night and he'd sit it in this little bowl of whatever it is that you soak those things in. And, but my God, every time my friends would come over, they'd go in the bathroom, take a piss or something. They come out like, dude, there's some teeth on the bathroom counter. And I'm like, yeah, it's my dad's. And, he always had fun with that. Pinky toe or pinky finger, really don't need them anyway. Kevin Contrell said that. Yeah, that's good. I had a substitute teacher, had a bus driver back in elementary school, early middle school, and she had dentures. And you got to look, for Forsyth County back in the day, we was all a bunch of punks on the bus. And one day she got the damn screaming at us. And she was just ripping us. And about that time, she's looking up. You guys that rode a school bus, you remember, you're looking up at that mirror. She's looking at that mirror, looking back. And right in the middle of screaming at all of us, them dentures went flying. And I know it must have been embarrassing. But she picked them jokers back up, stuck them back in her mouth, and went back to screaming, and them things flew out again. And that probably happened about 3 or 4 times. And finally, she just held them in her hand. She turned around. She said, you guys, but it was funny as all get go. Atlanta Outdoors, as a guitar player, I need the fingers. 100%. 100%. It's an interesting question. You got to think about the human body and all that. And again, but I do think the big toe might be something that you could, put a treble hook. Like if you had the bone in it, you could just screw the treble hook in there, maybe come under, make an underspin out of it, or you could punch with it. Absolutely. So that's the strange stuff that goes through my mind. But like I said, this guy was just, I hope he's going to TikTok record it when he does it. And I'm going to watch that when he does it. I believe his name's Jesse Pruitt. I believe that's his name. I'll double check on that. But Jesse Pruitt, but like, first of all, is it legal? And second of all, like Tony said, how many casts would it take? How durable is one of your toes or your fingers on a hook? How long would it last? Is it Yamamoto style? You catch one, you're bound to catch something, but you catch one, maybe 2 tops. Or is it more like cast, those cast echoes and all that? We can catch 3, 4, 5 fish on them and even more. And, but the bone as a topwater, that would be something you could do. Hell, you could take a rib. You probably can make one of them daggum hell raisers that Z-Man's got. You just got to. I guarantee you, there's some guys around here that could customize some bones and make something out of that. But interesting thought, you guys. But the eyeball. So, and you guys can keep commenting on that as we go. Now, another thing that caught my mind, because I was on Twitter, X, whatever the hell you want to call it now. And somebody made a post, a Yamamoto, 100%. Disney World, Doc Holiday says, back to cramps. I use bread and butter pickle juice. Works for me, taking about 7 to 8 p.m. Captain J. Morgan says, your spleen for catfish. And Atlanta Outdoors says, makes me want to try to make a lure with an old deer antler. And I got a couple racks on the back porch. I might give it to, I think Drew Pearson up here. He's pretty handy. See if he can make me something like that. Wouldn't it be interesting to be able to take an antler or something like that and catch some fish with it? We might do that. That might be a project. But anyway, I'll try that Doc Holiday. I don't know about butter pickles. Listen, I like pickled pig's feet. I like pickled wieners, or hot dogs or whatever you want to call them. Bahama Mamas, anything. I can drink vinegar and all that. But for some reason, I don't like pickles. Go figure that out. I don't like pickles, and I don't like pickled okra. Now, I'll eat pickles. Don't get me wrong. I'll eat them. I won't choose to eat them. But pickled okra is the one thing in this world to me that I like fried okra, but pickled okra is the nastiest stuff. I just don't like it. But I'll try to drink some pickle juice. I like the mustard idea better because I can just drink mustard from the bottle. I love mustard. But anyway, on to X. So somebody had a post, and it made me get to thinking, because I have friends that do this. And I just wonder what the mindset is. I have been lucky, and I say lucky, in my life that I have never had to take my kids or my family to Disneyland. Now, it's right there by, or Disney World, whichever the hell one's right by Orlando. Now, down at ICAST, we have gone into the little fringes of Disney World, to a couple of the bars there, and had some dinner and some drinks and all that. But I've never had to take the family to Disney World. But I understand it. I understand it. I know it's expensive as hell, but I understand it. But adults, married couples, single adults, ages 25 and up, especially the 40-somethings and 50-somethings my age, that go to Disney World. Now, if any of you guys do that, in the comment section, I would love to know what the mindset is. Because to me, in my mind, at some point, you got to outgrow Disney. At some point, Disney World is not an option for an adult. Seems to me like there's better things that you could do. I have friends that go every single year, sometimes with their kids, sometimes without their kids. Carson Fowler says there will be a documentary on Disney adults one day. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Disney adults are effing weird, Alex says. But don't you kind of see that? Like you see the 50-year-old woman out there, and her husband's taking pictures of her by Mickey Mouse with the big ears on and all that. Kevin Contrell, never been, and outside of fishing the lakes there, I have zero desire to go. 100%, me too. That was kind of my thinking. I don't understand that. And it almost goes in with the Comic-Con kind of stuff. Big Shanty Bassmasters. Friend of mine does it probably 2 to 3 times a year with his wife and daughter. Like, dude, where does he work? I mean, that's an expensive trip. Tony says, my mom and stepdad went to Disney several years ago and told my Disney-aged girls they were going. Never offered to take them. Weirdest thing I've ever heard. See, that's what I'm talking about. It's like that them Disney people and the ones that dress up like comic book characters, Comic-Con, all that kind of stuff. Strange to me. I've never had the desire to dress up as a stormtrooper or Darth Vader or any Japanese anime character and go down to Atlanta and hang out with a bunch of people. Now, I will say this. Now, you can get on the fringes of some of them characters are kind of like adult oriented and then, whatever. But just to dress up as a comic book character is crazy to me. The only thing Disney has now that I like is Marvel. Well, my kids watch that. What's going on, Rob? Hey, Rob, while I got you, we're going to start doing this on the lunch break. I want to start piping people, some guests in for 5, 10, 15 minutes. You busy tomorrow? I'd like to see if you'd like to just join me via your phone, wherever you're at, just to talk. Something I'm going to do. And some of you guys, Whitetail Traditions, tuned in on the water from Weiss Lake. Dude, appreciate you joining us. How's the fishing out there? But Rob, you want to, I bet it's hot as hell too. Rob, you want to just jump on with me tomorrow? FurryCon is wild. They had it in the base floor of the tower. Oh, you're going to be in New York. Crap. Well, I'll find somebody else. My old office was in. FurryCon. I hadn't heard of FurryCon. What exactly is that, Atlanta Outdoors? Big Shanny said, I've been twice, my first and last. He's on his way. Now, Alex says, I'm taking my daughter in September. Alex, I get it. You got a young child. That is Disney stuff. But Alex, if you told me that I was just going to go, I'd have to question it. Now, you are a kayak guy. Okay. All right. So Houston Binkley. My wife and I are going in September for a gender reveal. She loves anything Disney. I go to keep peace and fish the rest of the year. So you're doing it. So what you're saying is you're doing it out of necessity. Okay. I'll give you props on that. Oh, you can chime in tomorrow? Hey, I'll talk to you after the show, Rob. We'll do it. And then John G. Wilson. Hey, guys, tuning in from Lake Sinclair. It feels good to be out here today, but somebody needs to tell the fish to bite. So we got a guy on Weiss. Whitetail Traditions is on Weiss. John is on Sinclair. You guys suck. I'm stuck here in this shop. FurryCon is where people dress as furry animals, dogs, cats, foxes, etc. Wow. Okay, so here's my next question. Oh, yeah. Houston says, yes, sir, and no Iron Dome while trying to get pregnant. Hey, I got you there, buddy. You do, Houston, you do you. I get it. That Iron Dome, boy, we don't even want to talk about that right now. I've been shot down more times than a man can it'd choke a billy goat if you knew that. But that happens in your 50s. So if you guys had to go, how about this? If you guys had to go to FurryCon and it was required. Oh, and Lane Outdoors says they have cutouts on some costumes so they can get it on while in costume like dogs. Really? Wow. I know, schools are having to have safe spaces for for kids that think they're cats and stuff. Whitetail says it's hot and the fish ain't biting over on Weiss. Well, damn, man, it's the middle of the day. But now, hey, listen, Kevin Underwood told me the best topwater he's found on Lanier right now has been right slap in the middle of the day when the sun's directly overhead. Don't know why, but that's when they're doing it. Big Shandy says, poking my mind's eye out on that. What if you had to dress up as a furry animal to go to FurryCon and you didn't have to do none of that adult-oriented stuff? What animal would you be? What would you be? That's an interesting question, too. What digit would you fish with off your body, and what would you dress up as FurryCon? I'd love to hear the answers. What's up, Tracy Coker? Alex Purr says, if it was required, I'd off myself. Alex, what would you be? Tony, you guys that are out there, what would you dress up as at FurryCon? Michael Hefner, a naked mole rat. Dang, heck yeah. I bet one of those furries would try and he said herring for y'all. I don't know what you meant there, Messick. So I bet one of those furries would try and herring for y'all. I don't know. Oh, try herring. We're going to try that. Probably dress up as Rob G. Big Shanny says, what time of year? Very important question. Tony says Sasquatch. Let's say right now, dead heat of summer. Dead heat of summer. I've already got, winter polar bear. Come on. That's too easy. That's too easy. Let's think. I'd be dead low. John says, I got a good cool breeze out here on Sinclair today, but I'm catching hell. The pleasure boats, wake boats, jet skis. You'd think it was a holiday week or something. You think so, John? I wonder why everybody's out there. Naked wiener dog. That's a good one. I don't know what I'd go as. I hate cats. Everybody's going to go as a dog. What's that animal that's just mean as hell? Kind of like they got a badger. I'd go as a badger. Either that or one of them porcupines. I think that, but I don't know if that's considered furry. I'd go as a badger. Ain't nobody going to mess with a badger. Wolverine, that too. One of them two. Mm-hmm. Tasmanian devil. I want to go as something that nobody will screw with me. Because according to Atlanta, the Wolverine, according to Atlanta Outdoors, some of them people have open spots. Well, I ain't about that game right there. Hyena. That would be a good one. Would you be a laughing hyena? Probably a raccoon with rabies. And John G. Wilson says a skunk. Now, Coleman, here's my question. Honey badger. Yes, that's what I'm saying. Now, Coleman, okay, you're going to go as a raccoon. How do you determine, how would somebody watching you determine you had rabies? You going to foam at the mouth or just going to go around biting people? Or how would they determine this dude's a raccoon with rabies? It's a good question. And my mind wants to know. That's the way it works. You guys can keep throwing it up there. the actual serious fishing question that I got for you guys today. I know it takes us a while to get around to it, but the actual serious question. Oh yeah, guess what? Here's your info for today. This happened on this date. Some more useless information. On this date in 1937, Amelia Earhart disappeared over the Atlantic. Over the Atlantic. So there's always those conspiracy theories that she lived and she found some island, and I don't know. I wasn't there. But in 1937, Amelia Earhart disappeared over the Atlantic. Probably take some of those substances they were selling in Atlanta nowadays, Coleman said. And John Wilson, I saw you run over the road this AM, so you had a skunk go in front of you. Here's my serious question. Comfort level. Did they ever find her plane? I don't know. I don't think so. I think it's been talked about, but I don't really know the answer to that question. What baits take you out of your comfort level and you're willing to try? Because over the last week or so, we've been talking about big glide baits, big swim baits. Last night with Dan Bavery of Magnum Bait Company, we were talking about big worms and everything. And there's a lot of baits out there that I'm not comfortable with. Tony said they found her plane like 18 times, it seems. No doubt. But what baits are really outside your comfort level? Now, Coleman says a jig, believe it or not. Big Shanny, GPS kept telling him to make a U-turn. John, hey, Doc, John G. Wilson got your tag number, man. He's constantly seeing videos, Tony says, about her plane being found. At this point, who the hell cares? She dead. Whether she died there or she found her some love on an island. Jig, I'm waiting on the jig show. Tomorrow night, Doc Holliday, tomorrow night, we are going to do the jig show. Ryan Sheffield's going to be in with us. Father Time, Kevin Thornton will be back in the house. It's going to be good to see him in there. And I believe, Tony, is it your night to run the board or Tim's tomorrow night? I always forget. I can't keep up with you guys. I think it's Tim's. But we're going to talk about jigs. But actually, Coleman, honestly, I tie jigs. I'm not comfortable with a jig. I can throw it if that's what I got to throw, but it's not my favorite. It don't take me out of my comfort zone worse. It's Tim's night tomorrow night. Okay, thanks. It doesn't take me out of it's not too bad uncomfortable, but I'm not great at it. And guys, since Tony's on here, listen, every Tuesday, Tony is doing a video for us here at FNGO, Tony's Tackle Tip Tuesdays. He's got a really cool one about flukes and all that. So you guys go check it out. And Tony, you know how much I appreciate you doing that. Messick Outdoor says a Nico rig. Just can't seem to build the confidence in it, and I know it works. Boy, ain't that the truth. I love the jig, Tracy Coker. I know you do. I know you do. Comfort lure for me is a shaky head or a wacky worm. More often than not, a wacky. Atlanta Outdoors. Personally, I have the same stance as Randy B with hard glides. Just feel like I spend more money than it's worth. The soft glides like the Nessie and Sabills are the only ones I've caught fish on. Hey, I get it. I get it. How much time do you give to it? And also, too, I think the mentality, the mindset with guys that are throwing the glides. A lot of us have that tournament mentality. Got to catch 5, put it in a live well. Got to go catch a bunch of fish. But these guys with those glides, man, they're going out for 1 fish, 2 fish tops, like John Serra and John Aldred. They just want to catch the biggest fish possible. And they can go a couple of days without a bite. It's a different mentality. And I get what Randy says. As far as return on investment and time and all that, yeah, I get it. But I think guys that throw big glide baits, big baits, they're almost like kayak guys. They're just a little bit off-centered. Tony says, Atlanta Outdoors, I've gotten bit on a TikTok $12 glide, still yet to land one, though. Yeah. And you know what's funny, guys? It's like I got this big sign on the door that says shop closed from 11:30 to 1 every day for our podcast, and yet I still got people trying to open the door. It's a big yellow sign. I get tickled. I see somebody in my periphery going to the door, and I'm like, here's your sign. Here's your sign. But back to the glide baits and stuff like that, I have zero comfort level with that because I don't throw them, and I've got to start throwing them. I will say this. I like being able to land baits subtly. You ain't going to throw a big glide bait or that spoon and not make noise. I need to start throwing glides more so I can have an excuse for getting skunked. Yeah. Tracy Coker says, drop shot is my Achilles heel. Just can't find any confidence yet. I'm upgrading some electronics that may help with them. That's true. Now, drop shot, I like casting it. And depending on what I'm throwing it on, though, I do kind of like that. But you're right. It's different. But everybody's got that one bait that's like, I can't build confidence in it. I'll go out with a jig. And like I said, it's not necessarily uncomfortable, but I'll go to a lake and I said, I am going to throw the jig all day. And after 15 casts, I'm like, give me that wacky worm. Give me that shaky head. And I start catching fish. I didn't throw a drop shot until I had scope, but it's no joke what I catch 80 to 90% of my fish on. Listen, but you're comfortable with it. You're comfortable with it. Cam says jerk baits. That was where I was going to go. The most uncomfortable bait for me that I try to throw regularly is a jerk bait. Now, more so in the wintertime, because here's what's crazy, and this is how my brain is messed up. I can go out any time of year on Lake Lanier or any other lake, and let's say we're going to fish brush piles, and somebody's got the live scope and they see them all down there. I can throw a weightless wacky and let it sink while the guy makes 10, 15 casts. I have the patience for it. But you put a jerk bait in my hand in the wintertime and you throw it and you get it down there and you're supposed to go pop, 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 pause. Pop, pop, pause. And you let it sit. I cannot mentally do that for some reason. I don't understand why. I don't understand why it is. I can take that same wacky worm, throw it, make that same cast, and I'll wait 10 minutes for that thing to just slowly peter down to the bottom. I don't know why. Because I do know why. I have confidence in that wacky worm. I have zero confidence in that jerk bait. Now, I will say this. I got mad during a tournament on Lanier earlier this year. Colder weather, February, late January, February. And I was doing that pop, 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 nothing. And finally, I just bomb-assed that thing. We were fishing out a young deer. That's what it was, electric-only tournament. And I just started reeling it. Boom, got hit. All right, threw it back out across the point, reeled it. Boom. I did the opposite of what I thought you were supposed to do with the jerk bait. And so I ended up catching a bunch of fish. But to do that slow pop, 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 pause and whatever, I don't know. Tony says, I'll find humps on about any body of water and cast a drop shot and work it back like a jig this time of year. That's what I do. Drop shot is a skunk buster for me. 3 or 4 inch, a live shad, robo worm caught crappie, catfish, bass on it. Yes. Now, when I went out with Underwood the other day and he was throwing that big flutter spoon, totally uncomfortable with it. And I know people catch fish on it, but it's not something I do. Definitely outside of my comfort zone. Messick says a lot of people mess up with a jig by using too heavy of a weight. Y'all try downsizing a little bit and see if that helps. For some reason, our crawdads have been everywhere these past couple of weeks. A lot of guys in the North Georgia area, especially on Lake Allatoona, they like to throw that Picasso little spotty, a little bitty smaller jig. Makes sense. I know Stephen Bardet loves that thing. Picasso. So that might be it. I will tell you with a jig, and we'll talk about it tomorrow night, 3/8 is about as heavy as I feel comfortable with. When I put a 1/2 ounce jig, I feel like I'm doing nothing more than just dragging up the mud and the muck off the bottom of Lake Lanier, pulling up the dead leaves, all that kind of stuff. So I don't know why, but I don't have no confidence in it. What is the one thing that you guys like really, like if I said, hey, this is what we're going to go throw today? Cameron Lackey, my buddy Cameron Lackey. Danny, you're going to have to teach me all this. What's up, my brother from another mother? Hey, we can do it. I got to get you on a boat first. But what is the honestly, guys, what is something that would, like, if I said this is what we're going to go throw today, you'd be like, number one, I don't know how, or number two, like, nah, I'm just totally uncomfortable with that. For me, and take away the jerk bait, something that I don't do enough time, deep water cranking. Guys pull out deep water crankbaits, and I'm like, my idea of a crankbait that I'm comfortable with is a rock crawler in colder water on Lake Lanier, beating it against rocks. So Big Shandy says a jerk bait, then a jig. Bill, am I saying that right, Paratuli? I think I've said it right one time before in the past. You said yes. We'll just call you Bill. Hair jig. Yeah, hair jig. Another one. Tony says an A-rig for me has been something that I just haven't built confidence in. Messick Outdoors, a Carolina rig. I hate how slow you have to work them. Carolina rig's another one. Carolina rig is another one. But, man, they catch fish. And that's the bad thing. All those that you talk about, guys, we know somebody that can throw them and just flat out just nail them. When I was going out with Underwood, he said when we were talking about setting that up, he said that he'd been busting them on deep diving crankbaits. Now, it had changed a little bit before I got on the water with him and we were throwing the spoons. He said he should have pulled it out the way the fish were acting. But guys that crank 15, 20, 25 feet, I have not ever had to do it. I have zero confidence in it. And I don't know how long I would throw it if that's what we were supposed to do. But the Carolina rig I've caught fish on. The A-rig, Tim White. Hey, Tony, listen, A-rig. First time I threw the A-rig, I was in the boat with Tim White. We were fishing an electric-only tournament, and we were on Cedar Creek. First of all, that lake sucks ass. But Tim, back then, he was the A-rig master. That's what I've always called him. He threw an A-rig year-round. He was fishing an A-rig. I was throwing like Ned rigs and stuff. He had a broke A-rig, 3-armed A-rig, and one of the arms was broke off. And he said, hell, throw it. And I said, so I tied it on. And it wasn't about my second or third cast, I actually caught a fish on it. So my first fish on an A-rig was caught on a jacked up A-rig. But even since then, I've tried to throw it, and I don't have the confidence that Tim had with it. Messick goes, what are you putting on them? I've tried brush hog, creature baits, and big worms. What are we talking about, Messick? Because I've gone down another rabbit hole over here. You know how my brain is. What are you talking about? Coleman Jones, 5XD can be money right now on Lanier. Just saying. Yeah, 5XD. How deep's the 5XD go? Atlanta Outdoors. Only crankbaits I'm confident with is a rattle trap and a red eye shad lipless. Oh, he's talking about on the Carolina rig. And Cam says anything offshore. And that is, you're having to learn the whole gamut right there. Carolina rig around here, a lot of guys will put a 4-inch Zoom lizard, green pumpkin red flake or watermelon red. That's popular. A lot of guys will throw a Cinco style bait and guys will throw a fluke behind it. Tracy Coker, I tried a 10XD crankbait one day last year and actually caught some decent ones over standing timber in 65 foot of water. See, Tracy, that's something that I ain't never done. I see it would work, but I have zero confidence because you go on Lanier and you just think of all these different things. What time of the year was it? That'd be interesting to know too. Big Shanny says lizards and trick worms on the back of the Carolina rig. Coleman says 15-foot line can make a difference. I've caught 3 plus on it on Saturday. And Mike says, agree with Cam, not good with the offshore. You know, it's like I was thinking too the other day, and I hate to keep bringing up Kevin and the trip and all that, but how did guys chunk them spoons before forward-facing sonar? It's about this time of year, Tracy said, 10XD. Might be something we got to go try to do. I just have never done it. I've never done it. What was your setup, Tracy, to get a 10XD? What were you throwing it on? I'd be curious to know. What's up, Big Bake John? Appreciate you joining us last night in the crowd section and all that. But deep diving crankbaits. Georgia Country Boy, happy lunchtime. I threw the spoons well before forward-facing sonar. But that's what I was sitting there thinking. Now, I've seen guys just chunk them where they think the fish should be and working it, popping it back. But to watch Underwood use his forward-facing and how he would do it, I'm like, oh, my Lord, that's got to be so much. Now, I don't want to use the word easier because then your forward-facing guys are going to come out and that are against it, and they're going to slam it. That's not what I meant because, trust me, we saw a ton of fish that didn't bite. But to see how the fish react, and like Kevin would let it go all the way to the bottom, which, again, I said that before, I thought was crazy. Messick says, I agree with Coleman. Line size makes a huge difference with a 5XD. I read 15 foot. I think you meant 15-pound line. Atlanta Outdoors. Jim Farmer has posted using a DT16 over brush piles a few times a month ago. He was drawing them up with it. And so, okay, so if you're deep cranking, are you basically doing the same thing that you'd be doing with a spy bait or an underspin, keeping it just above them? Or are you going in there and trying to dig down? He goes, I meant the 5XD dives down to 15 foot. Okay, that's what you meant. I got you now. It would be interesting for sure to do, but like, let's say I'm going over to Latham this weekend. We ain't got to deal with the pleasure boaters and all that, just the kayak people if I go over there. And I put a deep diving crankbait in my hand. What am I looking for? Well, you got points. You have some brush piles in there. Not a lot. You have standing timber in some of the pockets. What do you guys throw in deep diving crankbaits at if you don't have the terrain that you would have, the bottom that you would have on Lanier? Tracy Coker was throwing his on a 7.5 medium heavy, medium fast rod, 15-pound fluoro, 6.8 to 1 reel. How can a guy build confidence with deep diving crankbaits? Deep timber, Country Boy TV. Keeping it above the timber, I guess, just trying to draw them up out of it. But that's when we're talking about comfort zone, that's it. It's like, if I could go fishing right now, 3 rods, and I only had 3 rods, I can tell you one's going to be a wacky or shaky head, one's going to be a top water, and one might be a fast moving swim bait. Because I have confidence in that. Georgia Country Boy says, tick the top of the submerged with your deep diving crankbait. Tracy Coker said, I just tried it because I heard about it, and by God, it worked. Well, listen, that's how most things are done. But I would be hard-pressed to go out there with 1 rod and just throw a deep diving crankbait all day because I don't have the mindset that the glide bait guys got. Messick Outdoors said, brush piles, and don't be scared to throw it in the brush too. I believe Wheeler has a video on deep cranking. I guess I need to watch it because seriously, it's like deep diving crankbaits. What else? Drop shot's okay. What is that called when when you just drop the minnow straight down off the bottom and you just hold it? There is a term for it that for some reason is slipping my mind. Andy Anderson says, Kevin showed me a white spoon about the size of a banana. He said he can skip it under a dock, has it down to a science. He is onto something unique, creative genius. We talked about that, Andy. That big old Ben Parker flutter spoon. I tell you, and I don't think Kevin, because if you book a trip with him, he's going to show you this. But Kevin, Demiki, that's it, Big. I don't know why Demiki, like a true Demiki, just doodling it. I know LJ talked about getting on a road bed in the middle of winter and dropping a Demiki straight down and just doing nothing because the boat, the water, and everything imparts the action. And all of a sudden you feel that pop. Country Boy TV says, you better be in good physical condition if you're going to throw a deep diving crankbait all day. Big Bait John says, you got to get strong throwing big baits. I know it. Got to get out of my comfort zone. But back to Andy's comment. Kevin can take, and I imagine crappy guys do this. He can take his trolling motor, and he's got a Garmin up front, and he can lock it. And let's say he's locked it to the right, and he's going to go down docks. Then he's got a Lowrance, and he showed me this, and I asked the guys last night about it, and some of them understood what I was talking about. But he can, on his Lowrance, he's got the down image. He's got his map where he's at in the lake, the one that kind of you can track where you've been. So he's got in a little section, he's got his map pulled up. He's got his down imaging pulled up. He's got his side scan pulled up. And that's all Lowrance. And then because of the HDMI cord that he ran from his Garmin to the back of his Lowrance unit, he's got his live. So he can kind of go down docks, look underneath the docks, use his side imaging. And it was crazy because at one time he goes, all right, Danny, you see that fish? He showed it to me on side imaging. He showed it to me on his live scope and everything. It was like mind blown. I mean, I know it sounds simple, but my mind was blown at how he could basically see that fish in 3 or 4 different, applications all on one screen. It was crazy. But when it comes to what you said, Andy, one of his things is, yes, he will take a big Ben Parker spoon, and I imagine you could replicate it with smaller spoons, and he will go up to a dock. Now, the dock, Kevin likes certain docks, but he will take that big Ben Parker spoon and he will skip it, pop, up under that dock and let that thing flutter down and work it. And it's like, I can skip a wacky worm weightless on a spinning rod. I have a hard time with all the other baits, much less trying to skip I don't even know how many ounces it was, that big old spoon flying up under the water like that. First of all, you got to practice it. But how many guys on Lake Lanier are skipping spoons under docks right now? You should. If you got confidence in a spoon, you should be. Messick says, the guys who throw deep cranks, are y'all burning them through the piles, or are you slow reeling? That's a good question. Tracy Coker, Georgia Country Boy, all those. If you're throwing deep cranks, are you getting it down to the pile and burning it, or are you just slow reeling? So we can all learn from you guys right now how to do that, because I love your questions on the live well and on this, because I try to learn as you guys are learning, because it's, again, not a confidence thing, but anytime you guys have an answer, you'd be surprised. This sponge up here, I try to absorb it all. And if nothing else, when a guy comes in, guy comes in the shop, he goes, hey, I'm thinking about throwing deep diving crankbaits. What do you think? And I'm like, well, I tell you what you need to do. And it's all because of you guys right here, because I'm learning. But that is a good question, Messick. Are we burning it? Tracy Coker, if you're still around, are you burning that? Was you burning that 10XD, or was you just slow reeling it? It's a good question. And hopefully you're still on, because I'd like to get the answer before I chime out of here. So while we're waiting on that, we're going to be I'm going to see if I can get Robleski to join us tomorrow. Okay, Georgia Country Boy answered it for you, Messick. And so did Tracy. So Georgia Country Boy says, slow rolling it over the top of submerged timber and Russell, trying to tick the top of the timber every now and then. Tracy Coker says, I just cranked it down at first to get it deep, then slow reeled it back. And then Tony says, Messick, most of the time I'm burning it back. Occasionally I stop. It just, excuse me. Damn, where'd that come from? Just as it comes out of the pile momentarily, and then back to full speed. So, hey, you know what? Burn it, slow roll it, you get the answer. So, anyway, all right. So, let's kind of make the future plans here. We'll be back here tomorrow. Messick says, I'm curious because the South Carolina lakes, I'm burning it, and they shoot up like little missiles. So, I might try that. Tracy, you answered. Georgia Country Boy, what gear ratio reel are you throwing yours on? Tony, you too, because you burn it, and he's talking about slow rolling it. Are you going down to like a 5 something or a 6.8 like Tracy was saying? There are so many ways, just finding something they want. That's where LiveScope does help, because you can see how the fish are reacting. And Tony does the same thing for Weedawee. So Georgia Country Boy is using a 6.3. Tony uses a 6.4. Okay, I think Tracy, you said a 6.8, something like that. Messick uses a 5.4 lose. So again, still on the slower side. So that's some good information, guys, that can help people. And I think that's something we might have to do. Just go out and try it. What is the best deep diving crankbait out there? I see 5XD, I see 10XD. I know Spro's got some deep divers. I'm sure all the other companies do too. But before we pop off, Tony, Georgia Country Boy, Messick, Tony, what is your favorite deep diving crankbait? And if you want to throw the color in, that's even better. For some of the guys out here that might be wondering before I chime off. Tony Collins says, I love the Dredger 25. And Steven Sturgeon, our buddy from Central Illinois. Appreciate you joining us, buddy. Tony says a DT20. Tracy Coker says a 3XD around docks. That's some good information right there. Does color matter with you guys? I mean, I'm sure it does. Weedawee, I know you said you got some spots out there, but you're probably fishing largemouth. Georgia Country Boy says, I got 6 cents, 500 DD in chartreuse. Okay. Messick says a 5XD sexy shad. I can't get them to hit the 16XDs though. See, it makes sense. Coker said his color is gizzard shad. Makes sense. Big Bait John says a Buka brand live gizzard. And Tony says the dredger I use is a greenback, white belly. Don't recall the name. Messick says DT16S, not XD16. DT16. 16S. Did you know how old were you guys and it was this year that understood that DT stood for dive to? I'll be honest, I didn't know that. I think it might have been one of the podcast guys that told me that. DT6 dives to 6. DT20 dives to 20. The DT20 is green gizzard, I believe. So anyway, hey, good information, guys. Good information. So what we'll do, we'll be back tomorrow for another lunch break. Guys, you don't know how much it means to me that you guys join me every day on this. It's fun. It's a nice little break in the middle of the day. You guys are at your jobs or working or out. You daggum lucky bastards are out there fishing right now. It's still really cool. I hope you guys catch some fish. It's really cool that you guys take your time and join us. This thing's going to grow. We're going to do it every day. And it is so much more laid back. Georgia Country Boy threw in one more. That DT20 GG works on Hartwell too. There you go. There you go. So tomorrow night, Doc Holliday and the guys, you guys join us at 8 o'clock tomorrow night now back to work. Sorry, Big Shanny. I got some stuff I got to do too. I got to raise some money for our TV show. So Big Bait John, best podcast, man. Hey, listen, this podcast is only as good as you guys. And seriously, like the live well, it's only as good as the viewers and the guests. My job ain't nothing. I can sit here and talk. When we get off, guys, I'm going to go back there at my desk, open the shop back up. And if nothing's here, nobody's here, I'll talk to myself. Tracy Coker says, I'm just watching contractors rebuild my garage. He actually had a tree in some of the storms a few weeks ago land on his garage, which is awful. Lunchtime can be easier than night with my little kiddo. I get it, Atlanta Outdoors. Tony Collins said, yeah, the only bad thing about this show is how fast my lunch goes. It does go fast. Mike says, I love it because I'm retired. I'm sitting here at the house. Well, buddy, hey, listen, I appreciate you guys. So tomorrow I'll come up with some other crazy topics for the lunch break. And then tomorrow night, jig fishing. I want you guys to join us because I want to get Ryan and you guys in the comment section. Because listen, I don't want to just do this. This is your standard jig show. Hey, we're going to put a twin tail on the back of a 3/8 and we're going to throw it here. And we're going to throw it on this rod. I want to try to see if we can get into the fringes of doing different things with jigs. Like I know some guys that when they're fishing brush, instead of throwing an arky football, they're throwing swim baits or swim jigs. They're using a swim jig head because they believe the point comes through the brush better. So it's little things. Houston Binkley, can't believe you was right about letting Diddy off. So if you don't know, we'll do this. So if you don't know, Diddy got not guilty on 3 counts, guilty on 2 counts of like prostitution, something like that, something had to do with prostitution. But I believe where he's being tried, the rule is you got to have unanimous decisions on all of it. So I think he's getting off, or he will get off somehow, some way, or some on all charges. So if now's the time to go buy stock in baby oil, you think you'd be stupid enough to do this stuff again? Or if a leopard is a leopard, you can't change his spots. He is what he is. You need to either go buy bait fuel, whatever company puts out bait fuel, buy stock in that. Transportation for prostitution, slap on the wrist. So he went and picked them up. Some girls of the night, brought them back there. Money, Big Shanty Bassmasters. That's it. Money. There goes the bait fuel. That's what I was saying. Guys, hey, listen, I ain't going to try it. You guys can try it and let me know what you think about it. But he's going to hurt someone that spoke on him. Then he'll be gone. He's going to pull a Hillary Clinton. These guys are just going to disappear sooner or later. It's kind of like I don't really care. It didn't affect me. Now, if underage stuff was involved, like that, yes, that's right. But I mean, whatever adults do and all that. But it's like that Epstein list. Nope, wasn't just girls. That's what I'm saying, Paul B. I want to know, like, I hate to say it, because you've heard so many rumors about who was involved with that. Those guys, if they was involved, those guys are nervous. Diddy is about to make his own oil. Yeah, so I'm saying you got to find it. Man can make him some money. That's all it is, money. If anyone thought all these folks were affected, he wouldn't have made it to trial. Do you know if Danny Pruitt was throwing, had done just on a small scale what he did. On a small scale. How far under the jail you and I would be? You and I would be so far under the jail, lives destroyed. He'll rebound from it. He'll figure out a way. They always do. So it is about money. Because I'd get that public defender. I'd get that public defender, and he'd just look at my case and go, well, sir, I think we just need to plead this one out. Tagline, so slick the law can't catch you. Hey, that's a good one. That sounds like a T-shirt. That sounds like a T-shirt, Big Shanny. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. But yeah, I would not want to be one of those guys that ratted him, or if you knew about it. Pretty sure Diddy could cripple most of the celebrities in Hollywood. And we're not in that world. We're not in that world. Could you imagine if this came out, one of the Bassmaster elites? This was like a Bassmaster elite guy, and all this came out, and he had video on other Bassmaster elites. I know my brain shouldn't go there, and I don't even want to even think about it, but my goodness, wouldn't the guys on YouTube have fun with that? I'm saying those other folks would have made him disappear. Oh, I got you, Tony. I got you. We might have to do a show no, we can't do a show. We'd end up getting sued. Could you imagine what the guys on YouTube would do, though, if something like this happened in the fishing industry, the outdoor world? Randy B would be on it. But he'd be bitching about the kind of oil you used. He'd be like, guys, you can't use that kind of oil. Let me tell you, that oil might attract some guys, but this is the oil you need to use. I don't know. We're just joking around. Randy B, if you're watching this, I'm not saying that you're throwing Diddy parties. It's just a joke. Don't come at me. Don't come at me. But anyway, Tracy, I personally don't care either, but it's just kind of interesting. If you guys get on X, which like I've said before, X is a sewer that you can find some good news, good stuff, but it is a sewer. It's like fishing over at Hickory Log. You got to weed through 5,000 little bitty fish to get to the one big fish. So when you do find something interesting on X, it is very interesting. Georgia Country Boy, he's been exposed now. He's going to be out of the political loop now. You say that. Steven Sturgeon says 80% use the wrong oil. That's exactly what Randy Blockett's clickbait would be. When going to a Diddy party, 80% use the wrong oil. And then I'd have to ask, Randy, how did you get to 80%? Did you do a poll? And Coney says they use it the wrong way, Steven. 80% use the oil for the wrong stuff. Guys, I kind of quit hanging out with you guys. Y'all get me in more trouble than you know. So anyway, all right. We're going to call it a day. We've gone about an hour, so it's been great. This hour flies by. I love doing this, talking with you guys. So tomorrow we'll be back for another lunch break. I'm going to do one on Friday, the 4th. The shop's going to be open at least 3 or 4 o'clock because, we got to get to the fireworks early. If you're not, you're going to get that. Jorge J. Santiago Reyes. Hello, Danny from Puerto Rico. What's up, buddy? Guys, he's the one that Josh and I, he was basically our guide in Puerto Rico. And Jorge, I tell everybody about that experience. It was one of the most fun weeks I've ever had in my life. So with that, I got another guy looking at the yellow sign on the door, trying to figure out why. Tim Gossett, I got my lure knockers. Perfect, buddy. Thank you. Bass University has a video where they put baby oil in a crankbait to weight it. Oh, Lord. Anyway, we're going to call it into it. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Go ahead and make plans to join us on the live well tomorrow night. And Georgia Bassmaster and I will be floating and fishing the Okmulgee. So you guys have a great rest of your day. Enjoy. I hope you don't get none of them storms. And we will catch you on the next one. Y'all go back to work. We'll see you. This mouse sucks. And we're out of here. See you guys.